I wasn't supposed to knock. I told myself I wouldn't. But the light in her kitchen was still on, and something about that made it impossible to walk away. I was 24, fresh out of everything. College, a breakup, and belief in clean-cut plans. I'd moved into a cramped upstairs apartment while figuring things out, the kind of place with uneven floorboards and a view of peeling brick. She lived downstairs. Lena. I only knew her name because it was on the mailbox beneath mine, written in neat, deliberate handwriting that made my name above it look like a child had scribbled it. She was always quiet. Not rude, just like she didn't need anything from anyone. People in the building said she was a widow. I never asked. But there was something in the way she carried herself. A silence that stretched even when she wasn't speaking. Like her presence had weight. And maybe sorrow. The first time I actually saw her up close, it was raining. I'd forgotten my keys and was fumbling under my hoodie when she appeared behind me. Umbrella in hand. "You'll catch cold like that," she said. Her voice surprised me. Low, warm, slightly amused. I turned. She was beautiful in a way that didn't try. Not polished or forced. Just there. Confident. Poised. 40-something, I guessed. Maybe late 40s. Her eyes lingered longer than they needed to, but not in a way I could read. I forgot my name for a second. She didn't offer the umbrella. She just walked past and unlocked the door. "Good night," she said, like we were already familiar. After that, she was around, but not in a way that invited anything. I'd hear her footsteps late at night, soft but paced, like she was rearranging her furniture or her thoughts. I caught her once standing in her kitchen through her window. Just standing. No phone. No cooking. Just still. It was hard not to watch her without meaning to. Then the knock happened. It was about a week later. Her light had been flickering off and on for 2 days. I'd seen her coming back from the store with a small lamp in a box, and I knew something was off. So I knocked. She opened the door in a sweater that hung just past her hips, sleeves rolled, hair slightly messy like she hadn't planned on seeing anyone. She didn't look surprised, just tired, and slightly curious. "Yeah?" she asked, voice low. "I noticed your light. I do some wiring stuff. Thought maybe I could help." She looked at me for a second too long. Not with suspicion, with something else. Like she wasn't used to offers that didn't come with expectations. "You do wiring stuff?" she repeated, one eyebrow arched. I laughed nervously. "Okay." That sounded more confident in my head. She smiled, the first time I'd seen it. Not wide, but real. "You want to come in and risk electrocuting yourself for a stranger?" "I don't think you're a stranger anymore." That line just came out. I hadn't planned it. The silence stretched. Then she opened the door wider. Inside, her apartment was dim but warm. Vanilla and cedar. A book lay open on the counter. A glass of wine half finished. No framed photos. No clutter. Clean. Lived in. Quiet. She pointed to the fixture above the sink. "That's the troublemaker." I climbed onto the counter. My hand brushed hers as she passed me the screwdriver. Neither of us pulled back right away. She looked up at me, still holding the metal between us. Her fingers brushed mine again, softer this time. Not an accident. Then she said, almost a whisper. She asked why I really knocked. I didn't answer right away. Mostly because I didn't know the answer I was allowed to give. The bulb was loose. Simple fix. I tightened it, the light steadied, and I stayed there, up on her counter, pretending to focus. Her presence pulled at my spine like gravity. Close, quiet, intent. When I finally climbed down, her eyes didn't follow my hands. They followed my face. Not searching for a thank you. Something else. "You didn't have to come," she said, softer now. "But I'm glad you did." There it was, a sliver of vulnerability. Just enough to feel real. Her voice carried something tired in it, like she hadn't said that to anyone in a long time. I smiled without knowing what to say, so I looked away and found it hard to stop noticing things. The chipped ceramic mug by the sink. The thread unraveling at the sleeve of her sweater. Her bare feet, one slightly curled in on itself like she wasn't used to standing this close to someone anymore. I used to do stuff like this, she said suddenly. Fix lights, shelves, pipes. He wasn't very handy. Her eyes dropped to the counter, then back up. I still talk about him like he's around. I didn't push, but something changed in the air. Your husband? I asked carefully. She nodded once. A long time ago. 8 years now. I wanted to say something, sorry, maybe, but that felt too shallow, too late. So I stayed quiet. She didn't seem to mind. In fact, she looked relieved. I don't usually let people in, she added. I guess that's obvious. I don't usually knock, I said. Her laugh was a whisper, barely there, but real. It should have ended there. I should have said goodnight, let the silence hold whatever this was, and walked back upstairs like none of it meant anything. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned against the edge of her counter, and she stepped a little closer than necessary. You want to stay? She asked. The words came out casual, but her eyes said something else entirely. They dared me. I froze for a second too long. Just long enough for her to pull back half an inch, maybe to save herself from the answer she was afraid I'd give. I mean for tea, she added quickly, folding her arms. It's nothing. You don't have to. But I saw it, the flicker of embarrassment she tried to bury. I'll stay, I said. Her shoulders dropped the tiniest bit. She turned toward the kettle without waiting. And I just stood there, my pulse in my ears, watching her move, the way she leaned on one leg, the way she poured without looking up, like part of her didn't want to know if I was still watching. Then, as she handed me the mug, her fingers touched my wrist. Not clumsy this time. Deliberate. She didn't let go right away, and I almost said it. You make it really hard to leave. But I didn't. Not yet. The tea sat between us, untouched. She leaned against the far end of the sofa, one leg tucked beneath her. I sat at the opposite edge, pretending the space meant something, like it could keep everything safe. Didn't. The rain had started again, soft and rhythmic against the windows. I noticed the way she glanced at her phone on the table, screen down, like she was trying not to care if someone might call, like she hoped no one would. I used to hate the quiet, she said, watching the steam rise. Now I can't sleep without it. Her voice had that far-off sound again. Reflective. Worn. But warmer now. She wasn't talking for the sake of filling space. She was letting me in. I nodded, unsure if she wanted a response. Then I said, I like the way it feels in here. She looked over. Feels? Like it's okay to be quiet. A pause stretched, full and heavy. And then she said something I didn't expect. I wasn't always like this. I looked at her. Like what? Distant. Careful. Her hand played with the edge of the blanket on her lap. I used to be a mess. Loud. Impulsive. I once left someone I loved because I got scared of how good it felt. She stopped, blinked like she hadn't meant to say it. I swallowed. Did you regret it? She didn't answer, just met my eyes. That was enough. Before I could say something stupid, something too honest, her phone buzzed, short and sharp against the silence. She looked at it, didn't pick it up, but I saw the name flash. Allie. She tilted the phone slightly, not hiding it but not offering details either. My sister, she said. She checks in a lot. Thinks I'm lonely. And are you? I asked quietly. Her eyes found mine. Sometimes. I felt it then, that draw, that quiet pull between us. My pulse kicked up. I leaned forward without realizing it, just enough to make her notice. Her hand was resting close to mine now, fingers relaxed, knuckles pale. Could have touched her. Shouldn't have. Didn't. But then she shifted, and her knee brushed mine. She didn't move away. I should probably head up, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. Probably, she echoed. But she didn't move and neither did I. I stood halfway, waiting for her to give me a way out. A cue. A signal. Something. Instead, she asked, would it make this harder if I said I liked that you came? That stopped me cold. I looked at her, really looked. Her lips parted like she might take it back. But didn't. Her eyes were too open now, too raw. And I felt something inside me shift. The weight of restraint, of logic start to slip. I sat back down. She exhaled, not with relief, with tension, with something building. We were so close now that our hands brushed again. Neither of us moved. Not yet. I don't remember moving closer. Only that when I looked down, our hands were side by side. So close I could feel her warmth without touching her. The air between us had shifted. Not soft anymore. Tense, tight, brimming with something neither of us wanted to name. She spoke first. "You remind me of someone I used to be." That hit harder than I expected. I looked up. "Is that good or bad?" She took a slow breath, her fingers curling slightly. "It scares me." Her voice didn't shake, but something behind it did. I saw it in her jaw, the tension, the fight she was clearly trying not to lose. Against what? I wasn't sure. Me? Herself? "Why?" I asked. Her eyes held mine. "Because I stopped letting myself feel things like this a long time ago. And now you're here, looking at me like I matter again." The room went still. I wanted to say something comforting, but that wasn't what this moment needed. It didn't want comfort. It wanted truth. "You do matter," I said. "That's the problem." She blinked. "Problem? Because I think about you more than I should. And every time I tell myself to stop, it gets worse." There it was. No hiding. Her expression didn't change. Not right away. But her throat moved when she swallowed, and her fingers twitched like she might reach for mine, but didn't. "You're young," she whispered. So it's different for you. This," she gestured between us. "This doesn't have consequences for you the way it does for me." "You think this is easy for me?" I asked, sharper than I meant to. "You think I haven't been fighting it every day since the first time I saw you watching the rain through your kitchen window?" That stopped her. Her breath caught just slightly, like I'd exposed something she didn't know was visible. She looked away. "You shouldn't say things like that." "But I mean them." "I know," she said quietly. Silence bloomed, dense, full of questions we hadn't earned the answers to yet. Then she stood. Not quickly, not in anger. Just like her body couldn't stay still anymore. She walked to the window, arms folded, back tense. "I don't want to be someone's secret," she said. "You wouldn't be." She turned slowly. Her eyes were glassy now. Not tears, not quite, but close. "If you kissed me right now," she said, "I don't think I'd stop you." I stood, unsure whether that was permission or a dare. We were staring at each other now. No more distance. No more pretending. "Lena," I started, but she cut in, voice low, trembling slightly. "Tell me what you want. Right now. Say it. Tell me what you want. Right now. Say it." Her voice didn't waver this time. It was the first thing she'd said tonight that sounded fearless, but that made it all the more dangerous. I opened my mouth. Then her phone rang. A shrill, insistent tone that broke straight through the moment like a dropped glass. We both flinched. She didn't move. The ringing stopped. Then it started again. This time, she sighed and walked toward it, glanced at the screen, hesitated, answered. "Hello." She didn't turn away, just stood there, her back straight, eyes unreadable. "Yes," she said. "He's here." My chest tightened. I took a step forward. "Who is it?" She held up a finger, silencing me. "No," she said. "Nothing happened. We were just talking." Her voice lowered. "You're overthinking this." I couldn't hear the other voice, but her face said enough. Discomfort, restraint, a flicker of guilt. She hung up without saying goodbye. Silence again. I stared at her. "Who was that?" She looked at me for a long time, then said quietly, "My sister, Allie, the same name from earlier. The one who checks in. The one who, I suddenly realized, knew more than I did." "She's protective," Lena added. "She's worried." "About me?" I asked. "Or about what you might do?" Lena didn't answer. I stepped back. The air felt colder now, like something had cracked open between us and let the night in. "Have you told her about me?" She exhaled. "Not really. She saw us outside once. The way you looked at me. And She said it reminded her of how I used to look at someone before. She stopped. Before everything went wrong. I swallowed. So she thinks I'm a mistake? She thinks you're dangerous, Lena said. Then quickly added, not in a bad way. Just in a way I haven't let myself be around in a long time. I shook my head, jaw tight. I'm not playing with this, Lena. I didn't come here to push you into something you'd regret. I don't regret it, she said. But I'm scared I will. She took a step forward, closing the space again. You're not the first young man who's looked at me like this. But you're the first one I wanted to look back at. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. But, I asked. But you don't know me, she said. Not really. You don't know what I gave up. Or what I lost. Then tell me, I said, my voice low. Tell me what I don't know. Her eyes didn't blink. She looked almost angry with how fast the words came out. I was pregnant when my husband died. 3 months in. I lost the baby 2 weeks later. Everything that made me soft disappeared after that. I froze. She stared at me like she'd just broken something she couldn't put back. I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. Her hand in mine was warm, but stiff, like part of her hadn't decided whether she was allowed to let me hold it. She didn't look at me right away. Her eyes were fixed on some far memory only she could see. The one where her life cracked. The one I had no right to step into, and yet, here I was. I've never told anyone that, she whispered. I know. I didn't thank her. I didn't tell her she was brave. It didn't feel like something she wanted a medal for. It felt like something she needed to say to someone who wouldn't look away. I used to be the person who made promises, she went on. Now I just avoid them. I got tired of breaking them, or watching them die. My thumb brushed across her knuckles. Not to soothe her, just to remind her. I was still here. You think I came here just because I don't know better, I said. But I've wanted to knock on that door every night since the rain. She smiled. Barely. But it was there. It scared me how much I wanted you to. I stepped closer. I'm not trying to replace anything, or fix you, or pretend this is easy. I stopped, swallowed the lump in my throat. I just want to know you, without you hiding. She looked up then. Her eyes were damp, but steady. That's the part that scares me the most, she said. That you see through me. That I want you to. The room settled into silence again, but this time it wasn't hollow. It was full. Full of everything we hadn't said until now. You don't have to promise me anything, I said. She nodded. And if I still do? I looked at her, really looked. The faint creases at her eyes, the history behind her posture, the softness trying to return to her voice. Then I'll believe you. She stepped into me. There was no rush, no sudden kiss, just the closeness. The way her head fit under my chin, how her breath slowed against my chest, how her hand gripped the fabric of my shirt like she was afraid I might vanish if she let go. I don't want to be a lesson for you, she whispered. You're not, I said. You're the part one don't want to miss. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't polished. But it was true. When she finally pulled back, she searched my face like she was making sure none of it had been imagined. Then, gently, she asked me, if I let you in, will you know how to stay? I didn't answer with words. I just sat back down beside her and took her hand. Not like I was holding something fragile, but something I was choosing, not saving, not fixing, just staying. That was 6 months ago. We don't talk much about that night, not in the way people expect. There's no anniversary of the moment things shifted. It just became part of our quiet rhythm. Like the way she now leaves her porch light on when she's waiting for me, or how I knock twice before I come in. Even though she gave me a key weeks ago, Lena changed. Not in some dramatic, overnight way. Not with grand gestures or some sweeping confession. She's still cautious, still quiet sometimes. But now when I reach for her hand, she doesn't hesitate. And when she looks at me, she doesn't look away. One night, I found her humming while she cooked, barefoot, spinning slightly to a record that scratched more than it played. She caught me watching and blushed, really blushed, like she forgot how to be seen like that. I kissed her cheek, and she whispered, "I forgot how good it feels to not be alone in a room." Me? I changed too. At first, I worried what people would say about the age gap, the dynamic, the assumptions. But none of that mattered when I realized I wasn't chasing some fantasy of an older woman. I was showing up for her. With her grief, her fears, her mornings with strong black coffee, and her tendency to overwater plants. We still get the looks. Sometimes from her friends. Sometimes from mine. Her sister, Allie, took longer to come around. But one night, after dinner, she pulled me aside and said, "Just don't give her another reason to close off." I promised I wouldn't, and I meant it. Lena doesn't talk about her late husband much. But sometimes, in quiet moments, she tells me about the way he used to make her laugh, or how he left little love notes in her books. I don't compete with that. I listen. I hold her a little closer when she says his name. And every now and then she'll say, "He would have liked you." That's enough for me. Love doesn't always arrive the way we expect it. Sometimes it knocks on a quiet door at night and finds a woman who stopped believing she could feel like this again, and a man young enough to be unsure, but old enough to stay. And sometimes, when you sit close enough for long enough, the silence between you becomes a kind of music.